What's up, guys? Welcome to Devlog number 2. And first off, I just wanted to say thank you. I am completely humbled and can't believe how many people have watched and commented on my first video. So thank you. I love the feedback, any tips, anything. Again, now I'm about 4 months into Unity, so still very new. I got a few comments in there directing me towards topics I know absolutely nothing about, so thank you so much for those. And as always, I am definitely still a beginner, so anything and everything I show here may not be the absolute best way to do it, or the right way to do it, if that, but it's working for me at the moment, so that's why I will be showing you, or at least partly working. So with that, I want to start doing these devlogs with kind of an outline, and that's this right here. Want to touch on any big updates for the game, any new features. That's going to be the bulk of these videos. New features, bugs, any new models I've created, and then finally some questions at the end from previous videos. If you see something I did that I didn't explain, or you'd like to see code, or just any questions in general, I would be happy to go over them. So for the new updates, I think I just have two. One being the name. I got a comment that Artimus, there's a game named that out there already. I was spelling it a little bit differently, but I figured I'd go ahead and spell it a little more differently. I'm floating the idea of Artivus. It's not set in stone, it's still a work in progress. We'll see how that goes. I need to do a little research, make sure there's nothing out there named that or close to it. The second update is I'm eyeing the end of April for a play test within my close group of friends and whatnot. Mainly just so I can get some experience exporting my project and getting it running on a few different machines, maybe. See how it behaves. So to kick off new features, the first item was an action key, and to be honest, I was kind of surprised I hadn't done that yet. But I guess my previous items were all on trigger enter or on collision. So I needed a action key to do things like open doors, start my puzzle, stuff like that. The code here is very simple, just a basic switch statement. If my list of unique action grows too much, I'll probably search for a better solution, but for now it's okay. So next up, I added a new ammo type. Nothing special here, I just copied the special ammo. So this is a heavy ammo. I spent a lot of time on this area. I had the mini boss section built out on the right side. Now I've been working on the left side, which is the puzzle or game board type encounter. Where again is both of these encounters, you'll get a key to the middle gate, which I haven't worked on the middle area at all. But yeah, I won't get into the mechanics of the game board too much, just in case I meet my goal and launch the game, and I don't want to give away any secrets. It's not too difficult to figure out anyways. I do want to add a few more mechanics, make it a little bit harder, but the core mechanics of the game, of the puzzle, are there. And once you beat it, you can see there's a cutscene that plays to give you access to the key. Nothing too crazy here code-wise either. One thing I just wanted to mention for anybody new and maybe haven't come across this yet, the invoke repeating method is pretty handy. If you have something you need to call for me in this instance, every 10 seconds I needed to call this. If you need to cancel it, there's a cancel invoke. We'll cancel all your invoking methods. I've also been trying to keep performance in mind a little bit more in coding. So I'm trying not to do things like instantiate new objects every time I need it. I started out that way here, but then went back and just was active to true or false instead, and resetting it to where I needed instead of instantiating and destroying it every time I needed it. So on the note of better performance, I was exploring observer pattern a little bit, and I started looking into C# events. So I implemented that here. I created a sound system. I had several cases where I had sound attached to an object. For example, my projectiles, where if they were to hit something too quickly and be destroyed, then the sound was only playing like half of it. That, and also adding audio source and a sound to every projectile, I don't think is the best way to do it. So looking at the class here, it's pretty simple. The only thing you'll notice on the start is I'll have a method subscribing to the event, the projectile sound, and footsteps. Those are the two events I've created so far. And depending which type is passed with the event as a parameter, I have a simple switch statement just to determine which sound to play. And this is the class that's tied to all of my projectiles with a type on there, weapon type. If you can see, you see the public static event action on instantiate. That's what we were subscribing to in the sound system. And specifically, once this object is created and the start method runs, that's when we're calling that event. And my footsteps event is very similar, except for the fact I'm not calling it on start. It's needed more on demand, so I have a play footstep method that's being called from my controller, my third-person controller class. I know the naming is a little confusing on instantiation. That should be something else, but I just copied it from my one for now. Next up, I added a simple death animation and respawn. I have a lot more to do here. I need to do some things like reset enemies and encounters and whatnot, but this is basically a death animation and respawn. Next is a whole new scene I've been working on. I had an idea for it, but I just recently started on it. I'm really happy how it's coming out and looking now. It's given my game a little bit more of the dark, space horror theme here. But anyways, the idea here is going to be, this is going to be later in the game. This is a crash, or not crash, but wrecked ship just kind of floating in space that we're going to land on and explore. With this scene, I created the little drone and flashlight you have floating around. And I've been playing with lighting and fog and that kind of stuff a lot more with this scene than any of the others. So the majority of the hallways and doors, everything here are new. So in this new scene, I also created this little, what I'm calling a droid charger. It's basically a little closet where these droids are going to be sitting. I'm thinking once you restore power to certain parts of the ship, these guys will wake up. I'll be placing these throughout this scene. I also added a new gun, a rifle type, like a scout rifle, single shot, accurate, high damage, long range, pretty slow shooting. And one of the things I'm going to work on pretty soon is like a weapon equip system. You'll only be able to have 3 weapons equipped. The rest will be stored in your inventory system somewhere. So I did a bad job of keeping track of my bugs this iteration, so I don't actually have any. The few I made notes about, I don't exactly remember what they were, so I'll be skipping that this time. And on to new models. A lot of these are very simple and just were used for my game board area, so I'll kind of just be speeding through those pretty quickly. So this was my first attempt at the new enemy on the wrecked spaceship. I was not very happy with it. He looks kind of goofy. This is my first time trying to sculpt faces. As you can see, it's not terrible, but he just didn't look very good in game. Here's my second attempt at the enemy. I think he turned out quite a bit better. I like him so far. And here's my new rifle. And I also don't think I showed any of the other guns in my previous videos. So here's a quick spin around of each of my guns so far. And with no questions from the previous video, that wraps this one up. Like, subscribe if you want. And again, guys, thank you so much for the views, likes, subscribes, comments. And hopefully I'll see you back for devlog number 3.